What's your biggest networking challenge? I'm Greg. I'm the introverted networker. And every time somebody subscribes to my newsletter, I send them an email and I ask them, what's the biggest challenge you have with networking? And about 10% of people respond to that and they tell me what it is they're struggling with. And I took all of those responses that I've gotten over the past year and I plugged them into a chat GPT script and I asked ChatGPT to summarize what the main challenges were, what the most common challenges were. And I'm going to share those with you today. And you'll probably hear some of these and think, oh, yeah, that's me. And if that's the case, the good news is I'm also going to give you a solution to those problems that you're running into. So stay tuned because I'm going to run through these 7 common networking challenges. And then, as I said, for each one, I'm going to give you a tip or an idea of how to solve that. So let's jump right in and start with number 1, finding opportunities. A lot of my readers struggle with finding opportunities to connect with others. They'll say things like, I'm in a new role and I need to connect with people, but I can't find the right people to connect with. Or I feel lost when it comes to finding new networking opportunities. I don't know where to start. And this is that question that people start with of, I know I need to network, but I don't know where to start. I always tell people, start with who you know. And that's something that most people overlook. They don't believe me. They don't think that will work. They think that's not networking. But honestly, starting with the people you already know and going back to thinking all the people you've met in former jobs, in the job you have now, people who you work with who have left to go to other jobs, people you work with in organizations, volunteer organizations, religious organizations, community organizations, all these people are part of your network. Start there. It's the easiest place to start. It will help you get going, help you get momentum, help you ease into it. So start there. I've said this many times in other newsletters, even the first issue of the Introverted Networker newsletter, this was the advice. So go back and check that one out. It will help you if you feel like the biggest challenge you have is finding people to connect with or finding networking opportunities. Number 2, conversation skills. People find it challenging to start or maintain conversations at networking events. People will say, my biggest challenge is knowing what to say during a conversation. I often feel awkward and I run out of things to talk about. Or they'll say, I struggle with small talk and I have a hard time keeping the conversations interesting and engaging. What I would say about that is, number 1, if you are connecting with people you already know, this will take care of itself because it will be much easier to have a conversation with people you already know. You're not going to be worried about the small talk. So this goes back to number 1. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're talking to somebody new that you don't really know and you're struggling with the conversations, I always say, ask the other person about their favorite topic. People will say, well, what's their favorite topic? And I say, it's the same for everybody. It's a topic they know the most about. It's themselves. Turn this tendency to feel like you have to do all the talking around and ask the other person questions about themselves. Ask them what they're working on. What are they struggling with? What's their challenge? What was the most exciting thing that happened to them this week? What are they looking forward to? Do they have any trips coming up? This does sound like small talk, but again, you're asking them about themselves and then you're listening to what they say. This will take the burden off of you in terms of talking and will help you relax because you're going to be listening to what they're saying. They're going to do most of the talking. And when they do most of the talking, then you don't have to think about what to say. You can respond, you can add on to whatever they're saying, but you don't feel like you have to be doing all the talking and keeping the conversation going. Number 3, lack of confidence or shyness prevents me from effectively networking. People say I'm too shy, I'm not confident. They'll say my biggest challenge is I feel inadequate, I'm shy, I feel anxious, fear that I don't have anything worthwhile to contribute to the conversation. Because it's sort of like the last one, because it's about I'm shy and I don't want to talk. Again, go back, ask questions. If all else fails, ask more questions, ask better questions. And I would also say mentally, you have to start thinking that everybody else is thinking the same thing. And what I mean by that is you're talking to somebody else who's probably also maybe a little bit afraid, lacking a little bit of confidence, dealing with a little bit of shyness. Maybe they come across as confident, but all of us are anxious when we're talking to new people. It's not just you. So if you think about other people are probably feeling the same thing, it might help you relax and be a little less anxious. And as I said, if nothing else, just start to ask people questions about themselves and let them do most of the talking. And then again, you don't have to feel like I don't have anything to contribute to the conversation. You're contributing, keeping the conversation going. Number 4, time management. People say it's hard to balance time and commitments to prioritize networking. So people will say, I can't find time to network. It's tough. My schedule's already packed. Networking is the thing that I push aside. It's the last thing I do. Or they'll say, I struggle managing my time effectively to fit in networking activities. Completely understandable. And this is why a lot of people don't network. It's one of the number one excuses I hear when I ask people why they aren't networking. And they'll say, I just don't have time. What I always say is that situation is you have to change the words in your head around. And when you say, I don't have time for something, whether it's networking or anything else, it might be working out, it might be reading, it might be learning something new. You say, I don't have time for that. What you're really saying is it's not a priority. That thing that I want to do or I say I want to do is not a priority. You're letting other things be the priority. So first thing to do is decide if networking is important to you. If networking is not important to you, don't do it. I'm not here to say you have to network. I'm here to say you should network. I'm here to say you should make networking a priority, but I can't make you make it a priority in your life. You have to decide it's going to be a priority because it's important to have a community that can bring you opportunities and help you when you do need to find a new opportunity. You need to make it a priority now. So when it's a priority, you find time to do it. It means you schedule time with yourself. And that time doesn't have to be hours and hours a day. That time can be as little as 15 minutes a day. If you scheduled 15 minutes a day with yourself to sit down and send a message or two to a networking contact or to find a new person to connect with on LinkedIn and follow them and write a couple comments on a couple posts, and you do that every day for 15 minutes consistently, you're going to start to make new connections. You're going to start having conversations. You're going to start to grow your network. But you have to make it a priority. You have to say it's important. You have to schedule time with yourself. Keep the time block small and show up consistently. Keep a date with yourself and make sure that you're showing up and doing what it is you need to do in order to grow your network. Number 5, maintaining relationships. A lot of readers find it difficult to keep relationships going and follow up after initial meetings. They'll say things like, I find it's challenging to keep in touch with people after the initial meeting. Following up is not my strong suit. Or maintaining relationships and staying connected over time is something I really struggle with. What I would ask is, are you thinking about these relationships in the context of your close friendships or your family and thinking that you have to be as connected with these people in your professional networking as those people in your personal life? Because if that's the case, that's not what you need to do. For professional networking, follow up and maintaining the relationships, probably you're going to connect 3 to 4 times a year. Maybe more frequently if you're working on a project with somebody, or if you're interviewing for a job, or you're trying to find a job and you're talking to somebody about their company, you might talk to them more than that. Most people in your professional network that you're going to be connecting with and keeping up with are people that you're going to reach out to periodically just to stay in touch, find out what's going on, try to find ways to help them, and continue to grow your network. I have a list of networking contacts, and I'm not saying it's long. Actually, it's not long, and that's a good thing. You should not have a long list of networking contacts. If you do, you don't actually know people. You're just collecting names in a database or on a spreadsheet. They should be people that you could send an email or a message to every couple months and say, hey, last time we talked, you were working on this. Would love to hear how that went. Or, hey, haven't talked to you in a long time. What's going on? Would love to catch up. And that's the level of sort of follow-up you need to do. Now, you want to get to the point where hopefully with some of those people, you're having a phone call, voice-to-voice conversation, Zoom call. or in person if they live near you and it's convenient, you can find time to do that. But if you're thinking it's really hard to stay in touch, you're probably putting too much time into each person. And that sounds bad, I'm saying, but at the same time, remember these other people are busy too. They have lives and you guys are professional contacts, not best friends. I think another thing here is, how do you follow up? How do you know who to follow up with? Keeping a list, and this doesn't have to be complicated. Some people make complicated databases and spreadsheets around this, and they spend more time in the spreadsheet than they do connecting with people. Make it simple. What's the name of the person? How do you know? When did you talk to them last? When did you talk to them again? If you want to add notes or other things about where they work and stuff, great. Keep it really simple. Go back, look at it on a day-to-day basis, say, who do I need to send a note to? And some days you might not have anybody. Some days you're not feeling it and you don't follow up. And so maybe you spend a couple minutes on LinkedIn finding somebody to follow and comment on their blog. Sorry, their post, not blogs. But again, if you're thinking you got to do a bunch and like follow up every week, it's probably too much, right? So just change your mentality about what you're trying to do here and how you're trying to connect and how many people you're trying to connect with. Okay. Number 6, value proposition. A lot of subscribers tell me that they struggle because they don't know what they can offer in a networking relationship. And I hear this all the time. I hear this from college students, hear from this from new early careers people. I even hear this from people who have been in their careers a long time. People underestimate the value that they can provide to other people because they're thinking, usually, if they're on a job search, that the number one thing that somebody could give them would be a new job. Most of the people you're going to connect with are not just going to turn around and offer you a job. And the reason why I'm saying it from this perspective is I always like to flip things around in a networking setting and make you see it from the other person's point of view. Most people that you connect with that are going to help you are going to introduce you to somebody new who's going to get you closer to that opportunity. And then, yes, maybe those people will help you meet the recruiter or the hiring manager who does give you the job. But most of your networking conversations and exchange of value are going to be small things, like an introduction to somebody new. That's an email that somebody sends and says, hey, Bob, this is Greg. Greg, this is Bob. I thought you guys should meet. I'll let you take it from here. And that's somebody giving you value. So people think they've got to give a lot of value first. Again, you should give value, but it can be an opinion or a point of view, advice, experience, an idea, a book recommendation, a podcast recommendation, a newsletter recommendation, just another person that you know that you say you should follow this person. Doing that shows that you're listening to the other person and you're aware of what it is they're looking for and you're trying to give them something special, right? Custom gifts are much more highly valued than just a generic gift. So if it's specific to the person, you're like, I remembered our conversation and I thought you said this one thing. I came across this article and I thought you might really enjoy it, so wanted to give it to you. That's what you give. And if you're just meeting somebody from the first time and you're like, I don't know what they want yet, the best thing you can give them, it's your attention. It's the one thing we all want from everybody else, especially these days. Attention is more valuable in some cases than money. Give people your attention and let them know you're listening. And then you can, as you're listening, you can figure out what you can give them. So don't ever underestimate what it is you can give in a networking conversation. And then the last one is what I would call just, I'll say overwhelm. And people say, I get burnt out networking. It's just hard to keep my energy up. And that's understandable. If you're really grinding hard to meet a lot of people and you're on a job search and you need to meet people fast, I can totally see where you can feel burnt out on it. What I would say to that is, like anything else, take a break. Yes, you want to be moving and getting action and moving forward, but don't confuse activity for progress. If you're doing a lot, sending a lot of connection requests, a lot of emails and things like that, and you're not getting anywhere, it might be time to slow down a little. Take a step back. Think about what it is you're trying to accomplish. Think about what you're sending out. Are you really trying to connect with the right people? Or are you just trying to send out a lot of connections to make yourself feel like you're getting closer to your goal? Because in that case, you're spending a lot of energy. You're not really getting anywhere. Are the people that you're trying to connect with and have conversations with really the people who are going to help you? Or are you just doing it to say you're networking? If that's the case, take a step back, reevaluate. And if you do need to take a day or so off, that's fine. Remember, you're sending out things and waiting for people to respond to them. You're sending out messages, waiting for people to get back to you. So give them a day. Give yourself a break. Relax. You'll come back. You'll feel better about it. You might even have some responses in your inbox that you can then take to the next level. So don't feel like you have to be grinding out contacts and trying to meet people all the time. Give it a little time to develop. Those are the 7 things that my readers tell me that they struggle with the most. Again, used a little bit of AI to do some analysis on the comments. So keep sending those things in. Send me your comments, send me your questions, your emails, your LinkedIn messages. Subscribe to the newsletter, to this podcast, to the YouTube channel. I'm on LinkedIn every day, so you can find me there. However you need to interact with me, let me know what you're working on. Let me know what you're struggling with. That's what I'm here for. Go out this week, meet somebody new. Remember, always be connecting.